Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Good afternoon. Welcome to Dyslexia Nigeria's Instagram live show once again. Just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who turned up for the live last week. It was really nice to have everyone there, and the comment sections as well was quite lit. Thank you so much. And this week we're also going to have a really interesting conversation. So thank you for joining once again. Um, like I said earlier, this is the Dyslexia Nigeria's Instagram live show called Dyslexia, where we try to create awareness about dyslexia through stories and personal experiences with people directly or indirectly affected or by dyslexia. And on this show, we speak with professionals in the field of dyslexia. We speak with parents who have children with dyslexia. We speak with teachers who teach children with dyslexia. And we speak to adults with dyslexia as well. And today, we have another adult with dyslexia, and he will be joining us very soon. I will just briefly send him an invite so he could join us. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope your Friday, yes, today's Friday. Hope your Friday is going well. Our guest today is an artist, um, and his artwork is quite mind blowing. Hopefully, we will get a chance for him to show us pretty soon. Well, hello.
Hi, good morning. Afternoon.
Hi. Good. It's fine. Morning. It is morning for some people, so good morning to people who are in the morning hours and afternoon to everyone. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm very well, and you?
Good, good. You mentioned you had a bit of a rough night and have some have a neck at the moment, right?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you clearly.
You mentioned you had a bit of a rough night and stiff neck.
Yes, but I'm good. I'm cool.
Oh,
I know I can do very well this morning, so no problem.
okay. Well, sorry to hear that, and do hope you feel better pretty soon.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Like I always say when the show starts, thank you so much for being willing to do this with us and speak about your amazing experience so far. Um, if you have any questions for our amazing guest as the show goes on, please tap it in the comment section. I will do my best to read them out. And if you would like to speak with him directly, I guess we could, invite you in the conversation so you could say a few words and then not necessarily kick you out, but kick you out eventually. But anyway, do feel free to drop your questions. As we go on, I usually prefer if the guest introduce themselves. So could you kindly introduce yourself to us?
Okay, my
However
name
way.
is Ajíbólá. Okay, my name is Ajíbólá Eedris. I'm a Nigerian artist. And, yeah, I do mixed media art, and my how can I put it? I love creating things with my hands, which is what brought me here. What led me
Yeah.
to what I'm doing right now at this stage in my career, so which is really interesting. So I'm dyslexic. Yeah. So the funny thing is I did not know until a few months ago, but that discovery, really made me understand a lot about myself that I did not know prior to that. So that's who
Mhm.
I am, basically. Ajíbólá Adékàńmbí, visual artist. It's good to be here.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Um, so let's start a little bit. Sorry, excuse me. Let's go back a little bit, right? And um, let's start the conversation by you telling us about your early experience with dyslexia.
Okay. Yes. Growing up was like, just no for me. It was kind of turbulent in one way or another because I was seen as on one part as a really bright kid, who could do a lot of things and who had really great ideas and all that. And on the other hand, I was tagged a slow learner, which was kind of contradictory in one way or another. So I did not know there were so many things about me then that I had to keep so many of my weaknesses, the difficulty I had with studying, reading and all that. So I had to just you know pretend as if these things did not exist, but they did. Such as when I had to, when I was asked to read in class, for example, it got so bad that the teachers would just ask me to sit down and ask someone else to read. So you know things like that, and some other things, regarding the like in the school environment, basically, my performance, you know varied. It depends on the kind of subject I was doing. So in some subjects I performed really well, while in some subjects like mathematics, I what problems and all that I struggled a lot. So and yeah, so even as an adult, like while growing up as well, even up to now, I've had some issues with disorientation. And imagine me like trying to get a particular location that I've been to before. Then I suddenly lose my way. Then like, wow, okay, what's happening? Oh, if for example, like I just kind of really interesting, realizing these things now that okay, so this is actually what it is. So yeah, that's it basically. So
Yeah.
the earliest thing for me, it was really dreadful because growing up it was difficult you know to tell people that okay, this is what I'm going through because it's easy for people
Because
to
you
say,
don't.
you it's easy for people to say, you're not normal, that kind of thing, because oh, how can you experience something like this? This is not normal, this is not simple. So I had to just keep it to myself and showed people my strength. So which is what since I was young, people praised me for, oh, he's so creative, he's so this, is so that. So that's something that I just feel like, okay, fine, that's actually better than, the realizing that there are certain things that, I experienced a lot of difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's a story that a lot of us can relate to, very well. So it's and especially because because you don't quite know what is going on, so it's even difficult to articulate it to someone else. Because when you're in class with your classmates, I mean, you attend the same class, you do the same subjects, you read the same hours, but it just doesn't show when the result comes out. So it's like you were never there in the first place. So it is definitely a bit tricky. You had briefly touched on being labeled a slow learner. You were also referred to. Quite sure what exactly that means. Um, how did that affect you being referred to as a creative dull kid?
Oh, well, no, I yeah. So the thing for me is right from time I've always had this belief in myself. I think due to certain books I was exposed to, which my through my dad especially, because he had lots of books and so all these motivational books and all that. So I think those books influenced my thoughts. So in ways that made me
Right.
made me have this confidence in, oh, you are going to become big, you are going to be successful. So whatever people said then, I had this really stubborn mindset that just told me, okay, no. it's whatever they say is not true. So I think
Right.
for just like for each individual, just like what I do, what I say in my art as well. Experiences vary. Lots of variable factors, influence, the fixed factors, to help us with the kind of results we end up having. So for me, I think it was actually interesting, and the fact that I did not know anything about this lecture, and I did not know nobody in my, not even my teachers in school were able to get that. So I think it was really
Right.
interesting for me. So the whatever they called me then did not really matter. I did not allow these things to get me. Yes, I was bullied. I was bullied a lot, but if no, it didn't. No, maybe it did, but I think it's kind of like it's brought out a better version of me in one way or another. So rather than
Resilient.
let it you know yes, so rather than let it affect me, I think it's worked for me in a positive way, which is beautiful. So I'm not talking about how terrible my childhood wasn't. I can't lie to you, it wasn't spectacular. Like the experience wasn't really cool, except because then the only moments I enjoyed were when I was all alone trying to create things by myself, making things. So that was basically when I did not even enjoy playing with friends either. So I just had to keep to myself for during all those periods. So that's why when people say they look back at their childhoods and they're like, oh, wow, I wish I could go back there. No, for me, I'm just glad I skipped that part, and I've left that part, and let's just move forward and make the best of the current moment. So and I'm glad that people appreciate me more now, and it's actually difficult for them to be able to um connect me with certain kind of things when I tell them, oh, this is what happened to me when I was much younger. They were like, they're actually like, wow, you know, this is different. This is amazing. So it's really good to know this. Wow, it's really it feels good to know that you actually experienced this kind of challenge and you were able to overcome a couple of them. It's not like I am still like I don't think anybody can ever can be entirely free from whatever it is they are going through. But I think it's, in one way or another, I'm here, and I'm glad that whatever I've been doing, you know everything is now manifesting into some greatness that people can identify in one way or another.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I really like that mindset. It's really good. Like when you said that, there's no need to go back, make the best of the moment that you have right now and do more with it. That's really nice. You had briefly just mentioned also about, overcoming some of the challenges. Do you remember one of your biggest challenge growing up with dyslexia, and do you think that you've been able to overcome it, or what are you doing at the moment to sort of overcome it?
Okay. I think the most basic one, um, and I think two. Let me just mention two, please, because the major issue I had then was reading. Reading was very very difficult for me. You know, being able to construct. I had a difficulty constructing a full sentence. It was so bad. So it was so difficult that you know engaging in a conversation as we are right now was very difficult because I would always be lost for words. And being someone who, then I was very what's the time? I read the dictionary, like I read it every day. So I just found it really interesting reading. So now imagine you knowing lots of really amazing words, but not knowing how to put them into sentences. No, it was just too
Yeah.
contradictory. So that was the first. And the second thing for me, well, the attention span. This was no,
Hmm.
my attention span was and still is very, very, very short. So that's why I think most times what I just do now, I won't say I've overcome any of this, but I think when it comes to expression, being able to maybe write, I write, yeah, I write occasionally, and I still I communicate with people, and they don't have an idea of maybe just I think just like everybody else, sometimes things just happen, but I stutter, right? Which is absolutely normal.
Right.
Yeah. So these days people don't have anything to okay to be able to say, oh, this guy is maybe struggling with words or something like that. So and as what
Yeah.
regarding the attention, the thing that I just do right now is focus on the most important things. And once I focus, I know that I'm going to excel at them. I'm going to, so whatever I feel is very, very important, I try and dedicate my, enough effort to, to do that, to achieve them, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really great. Uh, I think it's one thing to know one of your. I think it's incredibly it's a great advantage to oneself to know what challenges you are going through and to know that when I get here, this is how I struggle, but I also know how to walk around them. So it's great. And you certainly don't sound like someone who cannot articulate their words now. So you certainly have done a lot of work to get to that point. So well done. Well
Thank you.
done a lot. I know what that feels like a lot. It's like you know the word, you're trying to it's just not coming at the time that you
So,
need
so,
it.
so
But when this
annoying.
is you just remember you're like, really?
So
Now you decide
annoying.
to come.
It's so
It
annoying.
is,
So
it
so
is, it
annoying. Yeah. It's like a missed opportunity.
is.
Because certain
Yeah,
certain 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 things that would have been be perfect for the moment. Imagine you forgetting
yeah.
it, and like 2 hours later you're like, oh, the word was obnoxious, and you're like, oh, how did I forget such a thing? You know. So I think that's, yeah, it's
I
just what it is.
understand that. Yeah, that's so good. It's good that we can laugh about it as well. You are a mixed media artist. What are some elements that influence your art?
Okay. Naturally, I've always been curious about a number of things, and that is the first thing is three-dimensional objects, like the ability to to create something, to mold, to make derivative works, to combine things, some things with other, to make something. So when I was much younger, even up to high school,
Right,
whenever we were writing notes then in the class, I would not pay attention in the class. So we would be throwing paper jets at one another. So, and guess whose notebooks were used for those jets? Mine, because I would not write
I
my notes. So I was always, I used, like, I was just, my mind, that curiosity was always there for me, that okay, fine, what can I create with this? So I used to make all this origami, you know, um, crafts. So, and
right,
I used to mold with clay as well. I did a lot of things, carved, did wood carving since way back, before I even had any kind of experience with art. So I've always been curious
right,
about being able to create something in 3 dimension. So the things that, so talking about elements, so I've always been, I love text, I love texture, I love form, just like I said about 3 dimensional. So I love form, and I've always been curious about lines as well. So all these things are informed the kind of things I do. So even
right,
before I started making art full time, I I really found it interesting, creating little crafts like house models, just anything, little cars and all that. So I found it really interesting, and that curiosity helped me to, keep pushing forward and exploring more, which is
right.
what amazingly helped to give birth to my art career. So, and with a combination of some other factors, my personal experiences in life.
Of course. Would you say that dyslexia has also influenced your type of art or the kind of art that you create now?
So what I'll say is, dyslexia is, it's one of my superpowers. So because right from time my hands, you know, whatever whatever difficulty I had, what I can do with my hands, I'm not compensated for that. So and that's something I've been able to make use of. I think I've no not I don't say I've used it like um the best way, because I always believed in the fact that I haven't done enough, that I have to, I still have to keep working and improving on myself. But the reality is I've been able to do the bare minimum, that okay, fine. Yes, you're actually making something with your hands. So, and
Right.
my mind, um, the way my mind coordinates with my hand-to-eye coordination, it is perfect. So that's something I've been able to take advantage of. So and so what I'll say is it's a superpower rather than a disability for me.
That's beautiful. I'm really glad to hear that. And you're quite humble with the way you describe your art. You say that you've been able to use, you've been able to do the barest minimum with your art. It is insane for anyone who would see what you create. And talking about seeing what you create, can you show us, if it's possible right now, of course, maybe one of your artwork, and just briefly explain to us how that came about, and how you came about that artwork.
Okay. So I have with me, because prior to the to this um interview, I was thinking, okay, what should I actually bring out that, says a lot about my dyslexia and, not really the art itself. So I decided to bring out, two crafts. So I have three as a matter of fact. So I have a camera model I made with paper and some junk. So
No, stop. That's not a
no, no,
real camera.
it's not real. So I decided to do this because, if I decide to just show my artwork, art is kind of like what I'm doing right now is way advanced, compared to what I started with. So, someone who maybe learned, who studied art, for example, could make art. But for you to make, certain things, you either have to have learned maybe architecture, or you are maybe really creative at things. So this is like this is what I'll call, a raw definition of what I've been able to create with my curious mind, rather than, me trying to tell a tale with my heart. I hope you get that. So
Yes, could you could you show it? Could you show it to us
okay.
again?
So
I'm I, I can't believe that that is not a
so
real
that's
camera.
not real. Can you see that's a light bulb inside there?
Oh.
So this like this is what I call Frankensteinish kind of creation, because I used different things like wristwatch. This is a part of a wristwatch, part of a DVD, and even part of a waist digital camera. That's like the screen of. So I have to just make use of lots
Right.
of things. This is a glass, a watch glass. So to be able to
Right.
form what I have made. So the thing is, for me to be able to create it, it starts with curiosity. You know, I have I am infinitely curious, about what what I can do, and about new things, about how some things came to be. So these things just make me start wondering, okay, can I can I bend? Can I make paper this fluid to create something? How can I make the best of this thing this paper? How can I create something new, something different out of it? So that's something that has always informed the kind of things I created from the onset. That was before I started making art. So now let me show you. This is one of my sculptures. I exhibited this at my recent yeah, this was exhibited at my recent exhibition, my art show. That was so this sculpture was made. You can see that's like a vessel. I think, yeah, that's a vessel. So I made this sculpture with paper and carton, yes, and waste plus glass sheet. So to be able to achieve that, I I had to I had to what's it called? I had to quill some paper, some it was okay, so some waste paper that I wanted to discard initially. Then I was like, okay, fine, you can actually make the best of it now than because I hardly throw things away. I so rather than throw things away, I collect because I know there's always a way to find to make the best use of them. So
Yeah.
so the sculpture, for example, I was able to just to create it the way I wanted to, which tells the story that I was trying to tell with it. The
Yeah.
idea behind it, for example, is talks about the individual as a vessel, as as unique, as it talks about our uniqueness and how we all have this obscure, like this there's a mystery surrounding each individual. You can see it's covered, so you can't tell what's inside. And I think that's unique to everybody because no matter how spectacular or seemingly unspectacular an individual is, there's always something about them that is different, that's unique. Yeah, even they might find it difficult to identify, but it's always in there. So that's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
I like the fact that you turn what someone would refer to as waste to something that another person would wonder about. From waste to wonder. It's amazing. Using what you using uh parts of a camera, using paper. It is quite a creative way to look at something. And like you say, to see something that would be considered as waste and then look at it as an opportunity to change it into something else. That's a brilliant mind there that can do that. So, I mean, well done.
Thank
I still cannot
you.
believe that that camera you showed was made out of paper. It looked like an actual camera that you can just go ahead and take pictures with. Thank you for showing us that.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
you had just to us, some, if not all, of your work involve creating um, art from waste material.
Yeah, as most
Where
of our
exactly did that
most okay.
mostly waste material?
Yes.
Where did that come
Um.
from? How did
Oh, okay. So like I said, about how lots of variable factors influence it, combine with the fixed factors to help with the results that we have in life. So for me, um, the the other weapon that I had, that was really good for me, apart from whatever my talents, my talentedness was, the other weapon I had was, in its raw form, I'll call it poverty. Like, growing up was really tough. Yeah, it wasn't always like that initially. So that means I had an experience of, really good and the bad side of life, the bad sides of life. So, you know, so by the time things really got really bad, that was when, this, this creativity was at its peak. So I had this urge to create things, but then I did not have what to create with. So I did not even know about sugar paper and all this normal cardboards until I was in my twenties. And these were things that these are things that these are things that you know children in primary schools use for everyday crafts. Fluorescent paper, all these very very simple
yeah.
things. So I had to just get creative with the things I could get around. The waste paper. If, for example, we all these product packs. They have some of them have really colorful designs, and some have really nice textures and all that. So those textures really made me feel like, wow, this is amazing. The feel of those things. So I had to just make use of what I had, so rather than what I could
Mhm.
get. So it wasn't about then for example, even for glue, I did not make use of the regular glue. I just had like make use of starch, for example, to glue things. Starch. No, so basically I improvised with everything. everything. So that's why, it's much easier for me now that, okay, I have access to a lot of things that I can actually make use of. It's easier for me to still, just go go to maybe to a supermarket and tell them, please, okay, after buying stuff from there, just tell them, do you have some carton pieces you want to discard? Oh, sure, yeah. They give them to me, and yeah, I take them home, and I go and work with them. So as well as most of the most of the materials that I've been using, for the past 1 year, for example, have been from my immediate environment. So my the waste from my landlady, for example, I just tell them, okay, let me just let me make use of this for, and rather than you having to maybe throw them away, and maybe they would end up getting burnt or something, which you know is really amazing, because from being able to create with um what was available, I have now understood the essence of what I'm doing and how it impacts the environment. So that informs my decisions. Okay, even if I'm going to influence what comes out of a single home, a single house, I think that's an achievement. And most of the things they do now, like once instead of them having to go discard them and just throw these things away, I collect them. So which I think is pretty amazing. So so in one way or another, that experience with not having enough really helped shape my perception of things, and now I'm able to make use of them. So it's kind of like
Right.
make things, it's just
Necessity, I guess.
amazing.
Curiosity. Yeah, yeah. It's really nice to hear that. I hope your neighbors are not tired of you coming to ask for their waste at this point.
No, I don't think anybody would be, because most times we are actually, once it's waste, it's usually easy for us to give out. So I think that's the beauty of it. So when I tell them, oh, are you still making use of this old TV? And they'll be like, oh, no, no, please take them. So because most times, no, it's these things are burden to them as well. So for me,
Yeah.
me picking these things up from them, it's like a solution to their problem. And looking at this, so that's why I think
That's true.
that's why even these days I try to, like, I'm exploring more. That is, with materials like um um oh, I just forgot the term. So the particular
Yeah.
plastic that is used for sealing electronics, that's polycarbon,
Oh,
if I'm right. I think that's polycarbon. No, 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 that's not. I think I've made a mistake. So, but essentially, the plastic is a very, very toxic one that it can't. I don't think it's recyclable from what I've read about it. So,
right.
you know, so being able to work with that kind of material, for example, for art, I think it goes a long way, in helping to clean up the environment. Because when you see all these radionics, all these
Right.
electricians, they fix all these things, and TVs and all that, they end up dumping them maybe by the roadside or maybe in the river or something. So being able to work with
Right.
something like that, I think it's really amazing for the environment. So which means I've been able to find a worthy cause to to channel my energy into, rather than just creating things that I wanted to create. So I have lots of it's like multiple wins for both me, myself, and the community as a whole.
It is. It is. I mean, like you said, it is a multiple win for everyone. You create something great out of something that nobody needs. It's not being discarded in an improper manner, and you create something amazing out of it. That is definitely a win for everybody. Um, Now, this is what we say about a lot of people with dyslexia being creative. Like, just the way your mind works, the way you look at something and then try to change it into something else, as opposed to throwing it away or thinking that it's of no use anymore. Just the creativity that just oozes out of you. It's just really amazing. Would you say that dyslexia has played a part in your creative mind?
No, absolutely. Because like what I've said earlier, I've been able to compensate, certain weaknesses that I have, with my strength.
Right.
So that has amplified, my strength is much like it's kind of amplified. So,
Right.
um, from the way I see it, I don't know how I've never seen my brain before, but the way I see it, it's more like okay, the more you are able to make use of certain areas of your brain, it expands and it becomes much more how can I put it? Um no, so it becomes much more active and you're able to make use of them much better than you have always you have always done. So I think that's so dyslexia plays a very, very big role. And the fact that I have not been able to maybe I was never good at motor skills, for example. And I think those things, for example, just helped me to focus on the core areas that my core areas of strength. So,
Yeah.
which is really interesting, and I think that's even why I'm able to do all the things I'm doing right now because I am not the only person who, for example, would create things. Yes, right from when we were younger, children always had that, had that like children have that creativity in them. No, like they say, all children are artists. But then, amongst all my friends and my people I knew growing up, I am the only one who is still an artist, just me. So I think, you know, uh,
Right.
the so-called the perceived disability also contributes to how I've been able to focus on my core areas of strength, and it's good to be at this moment. It's good to be.
It's great. And I'm really happy that you not only recognize your strength, but you tapped into it and you're using it, and it's creating something for you that you can proudly come out and talk about and showcase to the world. So it's really nice to see that when people talk about their strengths, despite the weaknesses or the more like the challenges that comes with dyslexia, there's so many strengths as well, and you are a wonderful example of some of those strengths. And it's always nice to see when we speak to someone who can show us something that dyslexia has been able to contribute to. Yeah, and I mean, like you showed us some minutes ago, it's quite amazing. You
Thank you.
mentioned that you you like the opportunity to help people who do not have enough, and of course that stems from your background as well and not having enough at some point. um, do you think that dyslexia has influenced your desire to even help more?
Yes, before I even found out that I was dyslexic, I have always had in mind to eventually create a fund for creative children, especially from those with less privileged backgrounds. So,
Right.
so because I've always looked at my case growing up, and how things would have been much easier if I had access to certain things. So, and what I know is that, I've always known that okay, fine, there are lots of children out there who can, who create things right now, just like I used to. So, but then, they are not just able to grow up because that's what the society demands of them. So, by growing up, that means you have to jettison your childhood, which is what happens to most of us. You know, so that informed me to I've always had this in mind that okay, I should be able to at some point set up something that would be able to influence to help um people who were not just creative and also well I've always believed in something. I know I don't know how wrong it might be to some people, but I think that's my philosophy. So I believe that most to me, I believe that those who deserve scholarship are not just, the so-called most brilliant minds, you know. And from
Smart.
what I've seen, no, you understand? So not the book smart ones. So because there are lots of ways which, there are so many ways to be bright. So, and I think we've always done a disservice to ourselves by, by selecting certain people who probably, okay, yeah, they got 100 over 100 in their um, examinations, but okay. So how many inventors have we been able to make of such people? And, you know, I
That's
think,
quite a good question.
mm, so, so I think, things go way beyond, being book smart. So, and, the earlier we're able to identify these things, then we create opportunities in this, in that regard. I think it will really help. There are lots of children who end up, I've seen things. I know of a particular guy who creates all these, mechanical, all these like vehicles and all that. But the thing is, he posts them on Instagram and people just like his post and that's all. Nobody, he hasn't gotten any significant support. So if, for example, we are able to, channel, our energy into, helping to push people like that, that's how we end up having, people who are really good. It's different when someone has this natural curiosity for something. It's different from someone who was
Yeah.
okay, yes, book smart, and they now end up doing robotics in the university. It's very different. No,
It's true.
leaders, leaders in some way. I would say leaders are born in certain ways. Like in certain scenarios, you can say yes, some are born because when you look at certain people, they were made for something. That's why you
Of
see people
course.
like Steve Jobs, for example. No, he was
Mhm.
dyslexic. So the way he
Mhm.
no the way he was able to channel like the way he was able to to make things happen with Apple, no, it was so intense. So it was amazing. So it's different when when someone is born for something. It's different from okay,
Yeah.
maybe oh wow, okay. So people that did not even I think most of these people like who were given scholarships, for example, you know,
Hmm.
were even what they decided to do were even chosen for them just because they were intelligent. Oh no, no, don't go to art class. Go to science because how can you have 9 A's and you are going to the art class? You are wasting your no. So all those things, I think it's these are some of the things that really affect us. And for them for those who are privileged, well, everybody has a path to follow, and if they are they have that opportunity to decide what they want to do, which is totally fine. But then I think we have a responsibility for those who never had that chance to pick between whether they wanted to go to University of Technology or to study law or something. So I think it's always good. So now me identifying the fact that okay, I am dyslexic has made me now okay decide that okay, I think it's really important for me to not just focus on such kids and also we should be able to focus on enlightening people on dyslexia. So
Of course.
a while back I there was a kid that there's a kid I'm very familiar with, and I studied something about him, and I saw that I saw his behavioral pattern and how how bright he is compared to how
Hmm.
he is being scolded at home and all that. So I called the mom and I said, "Oh, please pay an attention to this boy. Try and understand some things about him." So I told her about this text, and she was like, "No, no, 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 no. My child is normal. Um, nothing is wrong with him. Is this, is that?" Then I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." So thanks so much. I apologize for interfering in matter that's not no that's not my business. So we have that the fact that most people don't even know. They think okay before because they say you are dyslexic or something. Maybe that means you are not normal. You understand? So I
Yeah.
understand that normal. And for me, yes, if I'm asked if I'm normal, I'm not normal because I um no in the real sense of it, like when you look at it, I've seen a lot of people who say, "Oh wow, I wish I were in your shoes." Okay, so which means I'm
Mm.
actually not normal. So I don't know how whatever they want to tell me, it's as I don't care. So, but for children growing up, you know, there's this need for, for their parents, to feel like, oh, their children are normal, like every other kid. But the reality is, we just have to identify the fact that this, each individual is different in, in different ways, and we have to be able to, to see how we can harness, the what's spectacular, that anything that's spectacular about each individual. Otherwise, we are just, we've lost lots of opportunities, to create, not just great leaders, but exceptional ones.
Of course. I mean, I can't agree any better with you. You've literally said it all. And I would just like to put a disclaimer out there that we're not trying to say that neurotypical people are are not as great as neurodivergent people. That is not what we're trying to say. We're just saying that it would be great to have equal opportunities. It really would be great to have equal opportunities. It would also be nice to notice something different in a person and encourage that, as opposed to trying to tailor them into something that you would consider to be more appropriate for them. So thank you so much for that. Which brings me to my next question. I think I saw a comment there, so I'll just go back and see if I can read that. Parents, this is another guest. This was the previous guest on our show. Attract your dreams, or your dream rather. And he says, parents who will say it's a spiritual attack. Yeah. This was, of course, referring to the time you were talking about. You were talking about the parent that you had briefly mentioned. Yes, some parents do have. I'm not going to say, it's not every parent wants what's best for their child,
Right.
and to them at that very, they believe that whatever you're saying is not the right thing for my child, so I don't want that. So it's also a part of a lack of awareness, and the fact that they might be living in denial. And we just hope that at some point they get to the point where they realize that it's not the end of the world. It's actually quite a different way of looking at things. And like you said earlier, it's important to know that it's not just the book smart people that can make it in the world. There's so many different types of intelligence. It's not just the typical one that we all see. The doctors with the A's. The ones who ace their subjects and their courses and all. That's not the only type of intelligence. So it's really important to also notice that. And thank you very much for that. I can see a lot of hearts popping out for you. You can see that as well.
Oh, please, come again.
I can see a lot of hearts emoji popping
Yes, I
out for you.
can. Yes,
So
I
I hope
can.
you
I
can
can.
see
Yes,
that.
I can see those. Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'd mentioned earlier that you had said something about encouraging younger people who would like to do something different, something more creative. If a parent were watching this right now, or a parent comes across this video at some point, and maybe they're in a point where the child isn't quite doing to their expectation well enough at school, but the child has a very artistic side to them, and they're not quite sure what to do with um, both personalities or both parts. They want them to do well in school, but they feel like this artistic side of them is sort of making them not focus at school. What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say is, I think the first thing is they should try to learn more about that child. Which is, understanding why, why that behavioral pattern has, why it is the way it is. So I think identifying what the problem is what will really help with a great solution. It's not just about getting them to maybe to force them to read or to focus in school. No. So it's not. You don't have to, for you to win in certain areas, you don't have to deprive them of, you know, the basic things that they have always, been in love with. So I think
Right.
the interesting the thing is, to be able to identify, okay, what now how can we enhance, this enhance the strength, like what how can we just build in a way that it doesn't, lack in any way. Because by trying to, just like me, I what I've seen about myself, I would say my situation is kind of peculiar. There was a time someone told me that, oh, Idris, your case is not special. Okay. So I agreed then, because I needed it to be able to just, identify that, okay, fine, I was not special. But the reality is that I eventually found out that I am special for a lot of reasons. And the reason is, now I've met a lot of people who told me, oh wow, they used to be very creative, or like they used to create a lot of things. But okay, then I will ask them, why did you stop? My daddy asked me, like my mommy asked me to start. Then I was like, okay, that means we're never really ready to create things. So for me, I have always, why I say I'm peculiar is that I've always done the opposite of whatever I was asked to do. So so I think that's why I've been able to, like, even my career was never really approved. Not because they no no want me to, no, they wanted the best for me. That was it essentially. So they felt like, okay, fine, is this the right path for you? So until I was able to, they saw something substantial. The first time they saw something substantial was when they were like, oh wow. So I think this child has not made a mistake. So let's support him. So so I think that's the thing. They just have to, like, really identify what, why, the root cause of what they are doing. So otherwise, they won't. I don't think there's ever a perfect way to, to make a to determine, the solution for a problem without understanding the root cause of it.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think that was very straight to the point and quite explanatory. What advice would you give to a young person who's listening right now, or who might come across this once again, and they might probably have dyslexia, and they're struggling to find a path, or what they're good at, or what they should do with their life, career wise, or anything, just struggling, especially when it has to do with in the creative field? What advice would you give to that young person?
So it's very simple. I believe a lot in introspection. I so my advice to everybody is always for them to look inwards, because just like everybody else, you know, I I have things that, that are really important to me, that I've always loved. So,
Right.
it's most times it turns out that, it turns out that the things that you love to maybe see, love to talk about, or maybe read about, or to watch on TV, is something
Mhm.
that's good for you. So I think we should just, like, try to embrace the things that we really love, and try to, expand more, learn more about them, and see, how to, to go about them. So we're just trying to find, ways for us, the ways out for us out of the blues. I think it's kind of, very tricky, because you might end up not really doing what you have always wanted to do. But I think it's always good to explore as well. So just like me, I do a lot of things. I've written songs. I used to write songs. I write poems. Yes, I have lots of incomplete books, which apparently I've not completed because of, the projects I have at hand. So so I think that's one of the beauty of creativity. You have the opportunity to explore a lot of things. So I used to do fashion design as well. So, but the thing is, in as much as we are committed to, to understanding, that's our purpose. I think it's easier for us to, to find what's really meant for us, and not just something. And one thing that I also love is, the fact that um, I am not, uh, like, my dyslexia doesn't define me. So I
Of course.
am not, my works do not center just solely around it. No, I'm not saying it's a bad idea if that's what's happening. Okay, but if I had done just that, for example, I would not have known that I have certain strength in certain areas and my curiosity. So, but what I've been able to do with my work is I was able to channel the energy, the experience I've had in life, the rough side and the good side of it. I've been able to channel this thing into what I am doing. So, which makes my work in some way, when people see it, it makes it awesome for those who have been able to experience it. So, that's really amazing. So, I'm not kind of like niched down to, to a corner with what I'm doing. So I embrace this freedom to create. So I don't let, my perceived disability to limit what I can do.
I really like that you referred to it as a perceived disability, because it really is just perceived. 1 in 5 people are dyslexic. It's just way too common for it to not be real. It's way too popular, or more like common. That the common is the right word. 20% of every population is dyslexic. In Nigeria, that's about approximately 40 million Nigerians who are dyslexic, and some of us don't even know about it. So it is not, I mean, that's a lot of people who would be considered as what are the lazy, as stupid, as dumb, that is a lot of people, and you can't quite take all of those people and then just condemn them because they learn differently from the way you learn. We're all different. Our brain is different. We look different. So it is impossible for our brain to be the same as well.
Sure.
So yeah, I really appreciate you putting that out there, and thank you so much for your time. We have less than 2 minutes, or more like 1 minute to the hour. We've been here for an hour already. It's amazing. Every time this happens, I'm like, what? I thought we just started 30 seconds ago.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just one last thing before you go. Do you have any last words? Do you have any last encouragements? Do you have anything you want to say or put out there about dyslexia?
Okay, yeah. So, what I'll say is whatever it is you are passing through, going through, whatever it is, just, know that there's always a way out, and it's always good for us to, to look at the positive side of things rather than let the negatives weigh us down. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was quite precise. That was quite straight to the point. There's always a negative and positive side to everything. So even if you have dyslexia, at least you know that there are strengths and there are weaknesses. You have challenges, but you also have strengths. So why not lean towards the strengths? Why not put more time, invest more time in towards the strength as opposed to the weakness? And I'm not saying that it is easy. I mean, it can
No,
really
it's
wear
not.
you down. I'm not. We know that. We know what that feels like. But you could also invest some time into the strength as well, and just know that you're not alone. There are lots of people. I mean, both of us right here, both of us are dyslexic, and we're still finding our way, and still trying to do as much as we can with the opportunities we have. So you can do it as well. You're on the right path, and you have a lot of people who are rooting for you as well. So let us know when you need a word of encouragement. We definitely will be down to lift you up once again. So thank you so much to everyone who joined the live. Thank you. I mean, I can't say thank you enough. Idris, you have been completely amazing throughout the conversation. I have learned a lot from you today as well, and I do know that a lot of people who would come across this live, who has been watching it, has learned a lot as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, Jenny. Yeah, it was really a pleasure, and I'm glad, just like you said, an hour went by like it's nothing, like it's 5 minutes. It's really interesting.
Right. Thank you. Thank you to once again. Thank you to everyone who joined us. I'll see you next week once again with another amazing guest as we try to create more awareness about dyslexia. Once again, dyslexia is literally just a learning difference. You know, when you get the right appropriate intervention put in place, you are good to go. You definitely have no limitations. Like, hey, have a look at Idris' page. He's dyslexic. Tell me if you see somebody who has a disability there. You know, forward this to as many people as you want to, and let's create more awareness about dyslexia. Thank you once again to everyone. Have an amazing afternoon
Bye.
and an amazing weekend as well. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.